Welcome everybody to Breaking the Silence. You have a voice, keeping it real with Ladievee. How's everybody tonight? We welcome all of our viewers to the show. We welcome our Caribbean jammers. Pastor Paul, welcome, welcome. I see you over there. We want to welcome our Facebook viewers and Instagram and TikTok viewers. Welcome everybody to Breaking the Silence. Well, we have a really exciting topic. It's sad, but it's exciting because I think that this one is a little bit different than some of the other things that have taken place as far as um, the police brutality and its unfairness. I think we talked last year and we had, was it last year or year before with George Floyd? And um, we had some other incidents that happened, but this one with a young man named Tyree Nichols, and I hope everybody has been kind of at least watching it on the news. This has been a little bit different. Um, Before I get started, I want to introduce my other co-host. I want to introduce, well, let's see, who do I want to start with? How you doing, Reverend Jay? How's
You
everything
doing
going?
well? Everything's going well.
Good. How's everything going on your show?
Oh, great, great. We have another show coming up next week, so it's gonna be pretty good.
Awesome, awesome. And we have the beautiful Joy. It's his sidekick. How you doing?
Yes. I'm doing great.
I think we did a show a few weeks ago. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's called um help me out.
Let's
What's the
talk
name of this?
about it with
Let's
Reggie
talk
and
about
Joy.
it. You guys got to check it out. It's really a good show. We had a lot of fun on there, and we have Damon. How's it going? Like, wait a minute. Let me introduce you, life coach
Yeah,
Damon Bird. How
yeah,
you doing?
All right.
doing good. I'm doing good.
Tell us a little bit, just a brief of the name of what your business and what you do.
So, your path of encouragement, coaching, is basically my target audience is obviously our generation, and younger generations, and basically I tackle a lot of like life goals, setting people up for success as far as like their mental state, right? Like being able to help them continue to grow and also changing their mindset as well. So I'm really big on mindset and accountability, taking accountability for your actions and the goals that you set, and making sure that you follow through on the goals that you set. So those two things are like my niche. My niche is mental positive thinking and accountability.
Awesome, awesome. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We definitely need it. And last but not least, we have the beautiful Dr. Yvonne Bennett, aka my mom. How you doing tonight, Mom?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Awesome. And my mom, well, Dr. Bennett does something called Get Help. And tell us a little bit about Get Help.
Well, I'm in line with Damien. I basically do the same thing. I offer. Um, I really target in on the change of a mindset, and also taking responsibility for your decisions, which will bring you, which has brought you to the place where you are. But there's hope to get out of it. So I do a lot of topics on that, not being stuck and so forth and so on. And it works. It works. I do it on the first Saturday of the month on Zoom.
Awesome. And I've been on the Get Help many times. It's really good. You guys, I'll send you the link, so if you want to check it out, you can. But it's really really awesome. You get to give input and learn some things at the same time. Well, and talking about all of that, um, man, I don't even know where to start with this Tyree Nichols situation, because it was this one is a little bit different. You know,
Yes.
we went through the whole. We had several, especially during COVID and these last 10 years of police brutality, but it was always situations where it was white on black. You know, so our battle has been the racist thing. You know, white cops beating killing our young Black men, especially. But this situation was a little bit different. This was Black on Black crime, and I think when I watched the video, I had to go back and watch the video again. And I think I watched it 3 times because it was so much that took place. And I had to ask myself why. You know, how can 5 African American men beat and kill another African American man? And not one person said, no, we can't do this. Not one. No one stopped the other person. Like, it was literally where they beat this young man to death. And so when you watch the video, it's a lot of things that takes place because they follow them, you know. And this was literally a situation over an ex-girlfriend. Okay, this is bottom line. This is an ex-girlfriend situation. And I'm like, wow. So the cop finds out that this young man that works for FedEx, and he has a good job, and he finds out that because the ex-girlfriend worked for FedEx, and he found out that they were messing around, and it literally made him feel that as a police officer, he had the right to not only follow him. I believe he sought after. Now, this is just what I believe, what I saw. And then he beat the young man, and the other cops followed. So we want to talk about this situation because one of the questions that I'm going to ask is, it was personal. It definitely was personal, but they're going with second degree murder and not premeditated. So what do y'all think about that? Like, where are we at today with all of this? Because now it's no longer, and they're trying to make it. One thing about me, we got to take ownership as African American people, you know, because they're trying to say, you know, well, if it had been a white person, they would not have charged them as quickly. No, we're not doing that today. That's just me. We're not doing that today. We're not gonna pull the white card, because the bottom line is you are 5 Black African American men who you killed a brother, and there was no remorse. The way you beat him, it was like that exactly. They thought they were above the law, and jealousy kicked in, and opportunity. So let's talk about it. You know, anybody dive in. So how do we feel about that? Like,
there's a lot of, there's a lot of emotions behind it, obviously, because of the circumstances of just the one is Black on Black, right? Second, it was the simple fact that it was an ex at that, and then you taking it a third step by sought after this individual, and the fact that in his group, even as a cop, like nobody, you know what I'm saying, like you said, like nobody had enough sense to tell him or even talk him out of it. Like, hey, what are we even doing this for in the first place? Is it really worth it? You know. So when I thought about all those different things, it hurt. You know, it hurt. It really hurt me. Just because we already deal with it enough from when white cops do it. We already are at crossroads with that. Just being at traffic lights and cop cars parked, sitting next to us. But now it's like our own people are even doing this, even in that particular field. That's what hurts even more. It's like we already do it to each other in, you know, poverty neighborhoods and things like that, and all the good stuff from different other reasons. But now we took it to where weren't even a shield. even you having a shield on now, we're going that far. And it's like, come on, you know? So for me personally, it really hurt because I'm like, well, what, like, where are we at? Like, what are we doing at this point? Like, what are we doing? Like, when is it end? You know, when do we stop? Because all we do is now we made it to where, again, when white cops do it, right? Like they give this notion of, well, white cops do it, you know, we raise a war and things of this nature. But hell, they're seeing our own people doing it now, wearing the same uniform. So it's like, it's almost justifiable now. You know what I mean? So that's, so hearing the whole story and just actually not seeing the video, but just hearing the whole story and like going up and down the feeds and stuff like that, it just hurt my heart. It really does, and I can't tell you what we can do. But I know now I really don't feel good, you know, seeing brothers in uniforms now because, you know, although it was personal, it's still a thought of like, you know, today may be the day. He may have something going on, and he may just say, "I'm gonna take it out on you today," you know. So.
Well,
that's where I'm at right now.
I put a statement out there, you know, and I think that, I don't know about y'all, but when I was growing up, you know, the law enforcement was there to make us feel safe. You know, we saw police officers in our neighborhood. We felt safe about going to them for whatever, you know, whether it was directions or if we felt that we were in harm or whatever the case may be. And definitely, I never felt threatened to be pulled over. You know, the police officers when I was growing up were our superheroes. You know, we saw them fight for justice. We saw them keep crime out of the neighborhoods, which helped, you know, even my dad and different people in our neighborhood, they were on the watch, and we knew not to do certain things because we had families that fought. I know my mom, remember, we had the bully family that used to bully everybody in the neighborhood. But I tell you what, those police officers would come, and they weren't about harming you more so than bringing the peace. They now it's like I think I said the Injustice League, because now I don't know who's who. When I saw the video, I'm like, okay, so now what do we call you? Because you're not superheroes. That wasn't a superhero thing. You know, the things that we're seeing with the law enforcement, it's not a black or white thing. It's how did we get to this point where now I'm scared to get pulled over? You know, because I don't know if you pulling me over because I did something wrong, or you pulling me over because you just pulling me over. So now we teach our children to obey the law. That's what we were taught. So how do we know that we're safe with the law? Where do we go now with this? Because this right here was a big statement. This was like, wow. And even when the young man ran, he was trying to run home because he wasn't far from home. But because the dude knew where he lived, they knew where to go. So it's like y'all partnered with this guy over a girl. Like, seriously, like that's where are we at? Like I think NASA said this was you took advantage of the badge, and this is not the first time that this has happened. Like, when does it stop? Where do we change codes? There's some type of protection now for the people that we feel safe, because I don't feel safe. Do you feel safe, Reverend Jay? You know, how are you going about this with your son, you know, as he gets older?
Well, no, I'll definitely, because again, I seen the video, and when I seen the video, I was appalled because they beat the guy like they were thugs on the streets.
Exactly.
And they were in police uniforms. You know, and I think even after they beat him, they were on, like, on a video, you know, acting like they was, they were used to this. I think somebody said this, that this must have been going on for a while, because again, no one does that. We have body cameras on now. And they all know that the body cameras are recording but they still was beating this guy like a thug. I mean, they was holding him up, taking turns, punch this guy. That's crazy. Yeah, no. So again, when am I fair myself? Oh, no doubt. Because again, we were taught, okay, well, if you don't do this, and if you don't do this, and if you just be still, you won't get hurt. You won't get hurt. But clearly we see that these police officers, beat this guy, and the guy didn't do anything wrong. Matter of fact, they pulled him over illegally. So.
Well,
Right.
I think Ladievee asked a very important question. Where are we with all this? I think when you lower the standards, you get what you get. Because the police department, fire department, during the time, especially during the time of the pandemic, when they made that vaccine mandatory, a lot of your good police officers and your fire people, they quit. They said, well, you're not going to make us do this. And a lot of people, a lot of these officers have taken place. And Pastor Jay said something. They beat him down like a bunch of thugs. Well, if that's what you are, that's what's going to come out of you.
Yeah.
Because I understand that this girl was not just going between two men, but there's a child involved.
Mm.
And somehow they think that the child may be Tyree's. And this guy, once again, when you lower the standard, especially when your ego is hurt, anything, you can't think. When your ego is hurt, you can't think. And he had his boys to back him up. But now look at the consequences that they're going to have to pay. It makes no sense.
And I think, and it's sad because again, like I think, like Reverend Al Sharpton says, you wouldn't years, black people fought for you to become a police officer.
Yeah.
And you're gonna act the way you act, like toward someone African American,
Now they're going to make it even tougher now for African American guys to get on the force.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna bring that up a couple of notches now. It's not going to be filling out papers and going for a psych eval and stuff like. They're going to take that thing to another level.
Oh yeah. Now they will do psych evals, and they're gonna when African Americans go through those psych evals, they're gonna make it so like rigorous for them that you can't be in a police force.
Right.
Even though they were lower bar for someone that's Caucasian. So that's
right.
Well, what amazed me was when I was watching the news, and every time I'm watching the news on this, they make it a point to say the race of the cops.
Oh yeah.
The race of the cops is important because they're making it a racial issue because what they're saying is, see, all this time y'all thought that white cops are beating black men and killing black men, but now look, your own are doing it too. And but pretty much that's what they're saying. So now everything that we protested for, everything from Rodney King to every murder that took place in Black Lives Matter, you got 5 black men that forgot all about that. They forgot that this brother's life mattered. He would have, okay, real talk, he would have been better off to me if you just want to be a man about it. He would have been better off come out the blue suit confront him off the clock. Just confront him. If you was really, really feeling some type of way, put the badge down and everything and confront him like a man. Why did you have to bring your buddies who are also law enforcement, follow him, pull him out the car? They yanked him out the car and sprayed them with pepper spray. I'm like, so you made a punk move because you could
with his hands up,
and you took advantage of it. I mean, like, wow, you didn't even respect him enough to say, okay, listen, I'll deal with this off the clock. Because then it would have just been you and him. And even if you had fought him, then it just would have been you and him. It
Now,
wouldn't have been
I have a question. Now, you said the cop was fighting Tyree, beat Tyree over X.
an ex.
Mhm.
Come on, man.
Ex. Baby mama.
Don't X, don't X is gonna get you.
Ex. An ex. She wasn't even a current. She was an ex.
You can go to jail for the rest of your life over X.
Over an ex.
And you know they won't get the max. you know they get the max, right?
But my thing is, so my question is, do we think that the charges should be changed? Because right now they're being charged for second degree, but I think that it was premeditated. I don't think that,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that all of them should be charged with premeditated because they sought him out. The body cam showed where they originally pulled him over. And when the only reason why he was able to get away was because one of the cops got the pepper spray in his eyes, and but he ran because at that point he was fearing his life. He was like, "Wait a minute!" And he even said, "Y'all are doing too much. Y'all doing too much. You know, like what? I'm on the ground. I'm on the ground. Y'all are doing too much." So it was like, again, you took something personal and you brought your badge into the situation, which is what other cops have done, you know, whether white or black. So my question is, now what are we teaching our children? Because again, we've been taught to honor the badge. But Joy, how we honor the badge? How we honoring this badge?
I think most people like to think I didn't grow up with this whole you just honor the badge. I knew police officers who were crooked and I knew police officers who were good. So in my mind, I never grew up with this whole, all police officers are going to come and help and save you. Me personally, I know when things have happened, I'm the person, I won't even call the police. That's not my thought of mine isn't, oh, let me call the police. When I get pulled over, yes, I am always nervous because I don't know what police officer is going to walk up to my window. So I believe that with me, this whole police thing, I just think with them guys, they were just, they were, like you guys said, they were thugs. They had that thug mentality. This wasn't their first time doing something like that, which is why they were so comfortable. Most police officers, when they're going to do something wrong, they do something with that police uniform on because that police uniform protects them in a way, because they have rights that if they feel unsafe, they can go to court and say, oh, I was protecting myself. I didn't feel safe. That's the reason why I pulled my gun. When you don't have that uniform on, you don't have those same privileges as police officers. So I have seen police officers do crooked, underhanded stuff for the protection of having that uniform on at that time. And then when it comes down to the mentality of them, it's just like gang members. Most gang members, if they have a problem with someone, once one person in the gang has a problem with someone, the whole gang has a problem with them. Now, that other person may have never spoken to them, never talked to them, but if you ever grew up in the hood and you seen street fights, it's like, you know, Ray and Tyreek got into an argument because somebody stole a basketball. Next thing you know, everybody from this block and everybody from that block, it's a block fight and everybody fighting each other because it's just that mentality, it's that mob mentality. And so I think, I don't even know if there's a way to correcting that, because I know they were on a special force, and that's that Scorpion force, or whatever they call themselves. And I understand that with them, you have like those forces that are supposed to, like, oh, you go on the streets and you let people know that we the police and nobody's gonna mess with us. So they have those really aggressive forces that's supposed to enforce, but they're not realizing that you are scaring the public that you're supposed to be securing. So you find more people who are now afraid of police officers than to be willing to say, oh yeah, let me go and call a police officer. And I think until they rectify that within the different departments, the police departments, to understand that yes, you have criminals, but you cannot give police officers permission to also be criminals and then expect the community, when you guys need them, like, oh well, we need help to do this, we need help to find this information. No one's talking to you because they don't trust you as a police.
Well,
That's true.
I think again, unfortunately, you can't be giving criminals a badge. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Those little criminals, and they had a badge on. And I think again, we need to stop all this coddling people in the sense of, something like that. Forget first degree, second degree. Hey, we see you on video, we got the evidence, we will give you due process, but the max sentence is you're going to jail for the rest of your life. So I don't believe people like that should be out on the street. Instead of us locking up people for just little petty stuff, we should be locking up people like that for the rest of their lives, to show anybody that if you do something like that on purpose and intentionally, whether you're a police officer or not, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. And I think the challenge is that people think, even police officers think, oh well, I get away with it, or I get fired, and guess what? Go work on another police force. Because that's what may happen. It should be that if you get fired for something like that, your police career is over, and then you're going to jail. Because again, you took the oath of office to protect and serve, and you purposely, whether it's been purposely, especially now, again, we understand accidents do happen, but I'm talking about something like this, where you purposely on camera beat someone, whether they die or not. You should go to jail for the rest of your life.
Well, that part is what gets me, and then that's why I went back to something NASA said. They took advantage of the opportunity. Okay, all right. So then that means that something is going on here, because for you to know that you have a body cam, you have a body cam. That means that people can see what you're doing. Then you went to a neighborhood where cameras is everywhere. I mean, this is what's really blowing my mind, is people, when they see police officers doing stuff, when they see anybody doing stuff, the first thing we do is grab our phone. So if you see 5 police officers beating a young man, whether black or white, the first thing somebody is going to do is they're going to pull out their phone. So now I'm thinking in my mind, what was you thinking? One, you had a body cam. You all had body cams. Okay. So, because it was so many different videos that was out there. It's like, Damon, okay, check this out. You going to rob a bank, right? we gonna go rob this bank, but we know there's cameras everywhere. Like, you really gonna go out there and rob the bank? Like, that there's a camera everywhere, and they can see you. They can see you. So you're gonna, that once you do this, and then you shoot some people, you going down. They gonna find you. Because everything in today's time is cameras. People, everything is recorded. So did you not think for 1 second, once y'all yanked him out the car, your body cam is showing that you followed him, and y'all, they yanked him out the car. You didn't ask him, could you get out the car? You didn't, like, okay, so my next question is, when do we stop reading rights? When do we stop, like, pulling people over? Is it not a law that says that when you pull me over, you got to tell me why you pulling me over? And you have to ask me to get out of the car. But before I got out of the car, you have to tell me why I'm getting out of the car. None of that took place. They yanked them out of the car. The body cam is showing all of this. And I'm like, wow. So they didn't even care about all of that. It was like, yo, we gonna do this anyway. So did they not even? So now I'm gonna ask from the mental side. Did they not care about going
No.
to prison?
No.
Because
Sometimes when people when people are full of rage,
Emotionally unstable.
they are emotionally unstable. So in our mind, we say think, but you can't think. A person can't think when everything becomes irrational. They don't think about their consequences. They don't think about anything. They just don't. They just act, and they do what
Yep.
they do,
You go
and
there.
that's where they are. And I think too. I heard where you said some said they should get put in prison for the rest of their life. Taxpayers are paying for that. I think they need to go back to the death penalty.
I'm trying to be nice.
absolutely, absolutely.
They need to go back
totally
to the death
agree.
penalty, because if
totally
they go
agree.
back to the death
Well,
penalty,
he said it.
people will start thinking twice
Yeah.
Yep.
whether they're mentally unstable or not to commit a crime like this, because sometimes going to prison for the rest of your life, depending on who you are, could be a walk in the park.
Yeah.
Because of who you were.
Mhm.
They're going to treat you a certain kind of way, and so forth and so on. So I think they need to go back to the death penalty.
I always thought that. I always felt that you take a life and you literally take a life, your life gets taken. That's I've always been a death penalty person. One debate.
I'm like, especially if we can see you on camera doing it. I'm like, you just don't care. I'm like,
but the only thing that holds up in court is the fact that they didn't take out their guns. You didn't see them choking them to death. So the reason why it's second degree is because it wasn't a situation where you can tell and for sure say, oh, they went there to kill him.
Yep.
Their lawyers can say, they thought they were going to rough him up, and so that would be a thing of they fought him. It was a really bad fight, and in that fight, he ended up dying, which is what brings it to second degree murder.
That was no fight. The guy was handcuffed.
Well, I'm telling you what their lawyers are going to say.
I know, but I know this. I know, but I'm saying
yeah, I get it. There was no fight. It and you get it. But that's going to be their thing. They did not go there to kill him.
Yeah, it wasn't premeditated.
Yeah, but I'm saying the law, like the law should be that, again, it doesn't matter whether you purposely beat this guy bad enough, whether he died or not, whether he had died or not, they had him handcuffed. They pretty much tortured this guy.
Yeah, I think it was premeditated. I think it was premeditated. It was an absolute setup. They knew what they were going to do. It was a plan. They knew where he was. They knew how to locate him. It was premeditated.
And then they chased him down when he got.
He should get second degree. No, I don't think that's second. I think they should get the death penalty. All 5 of them.
Yep. And again, in the fact that he got away, and they chased him down. They chased him down.
They knew where he was going. They knew where he lived.
To me, if I was a prosecutor, I would charge him first degree.
By law, they can't charge him with. By law.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the problem. And they need
to fix that law.
Yeah,
right. Because the only thing about it, if they charge them with first degree, they probably get off because, like I said, the incident of him not die. He died a few days later in a hospital.
Yeah.
So that's the loopholes. And when they pin charges on you, they try to get the charges that they know will stick.
Right.
Because if they don't, they know that you got a chance of getting off. So that's the reason why they charge them the way they charge them. But they will be charged for sure.
No, but I'm saying they should change the law for everybody. If you are caught torturing somebody, pretty much torturing somebody, whether they die or not, you should just, again, because this is no longer anger. They had time to think. They had time to rationalize. There's more than one person around. There's more than one person there standing around watching. And I say this: all the people that were there, that were just watching around, and nobody says stop, should be in jail too.
Oh, I like what Jahan said. The death penalty is too easy for them. They need to sit and rot and remember what they did for the rest of their lives. And honestly, I kind of agree with her too, because they're cops, so they're gonna get it. They gonna get it. There's no way that they not gonna get it in prison. You fire cops.
Oh
you
yeah,
gonna
in
put
prison
some
they
people in
definitely
prison.
going to.
Yeah.
So you gonna get it. You gonna get it worse than probably anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
In
The
it.
first
They
few
gonna
years is
get
going
it.
to be hard.
So if they probably in this situation, it will probably be worse than the death penalty because of
Yeah. To be an officer.
the situation that happened. But I want to go back to, so we talked about this because when does the codes change? When do I know that as officers of the law, they are to protect, they are to make sure that they keep our neighborhood safe. But let's go back to, I'm a superhero girl. So our superheroes, they didn't seek out to kill, but they did seek out for justice. So now these codes that they have, because we're literally like, if you see opportunity to be able to handcuff somebody, to me, if you're handcuffed and you're on the floor or the ground, that's it. That person can no longer do anything. There has to be some laws that are set in place. Once that person is restrained, you don't have, now you are misusing your authority to beat them. Why are you hitting them? Why are you causing infliction on that person if they cannot do anything? They can't run, they can't fight, they don't have a gun, they don't have anything. But we're still knee in the neck. We're doing stuff, and so what are we doing about these codes? Because it's like, I think that the overall law is something wrong, because it's a difference in you have a gun at me and now I'm protecting myself. No different than a citizen. If you have a gun at me and I think that my life is in danger, then I have a right to protect myself. But if I don't even, I'm looking at people these cops are killing people and they don't even have any weapons. Like, where does the law change? Because again, what are we telling our children then? Like, I have 3 sons. You have a daughter, mom has a son, Josh has a son. You have brothers. We have, who's to say that it won't happen to any of our children?
That's why I say second degree is light, because once that young man, they had him handcuffed, like you said, he couldn't fight back. So the intent was to kill. They intended to kill him. They intended to get him off.
I think so too.
Off the premises, out of the light and out of the world, because of this situation. And someone said, I think it was Jahan, that said the death penalty would be too easy. In my world, it wouldn't be too easy, because this young man has a family that's hurting from the loss of a child. So taking them to the death penalty, their family will feel the same thing, because we don't know what is going to transpire with them being in jail. Yes, I agree with them being a cop. People are going to take advantage. Sometimes they do, and it depends. It depends on who the warden is. It depends on who this one is. You never know. These cops can go to prison, and they have connections. They have connections.
Well,
so
I
the
also
death
think
penalty goes beyond them dying, but their family, because this young man had a family, a mother and a father.
Right. See, the way I look at it is, Now, I think totally different. My mind is different, wide different. So I'm just let y'all know that ahead of time. But I'm one of those type of people. I've always felt like America, the reason why we have so much crime is because our jail systems are really easy compared to, you know, some other countries.
Yes, agreed.
Oh yeah.
I also
Absolutely.
believe that, you know, I know in some countries, if you beat someone to death, then you too are beaten to death. You don't just get, you know, you got to realize the death penalty is they put you get 3 different needles. The first one kills your mind, so you don't even know what's going on
Right.
in your body before
Right.
you expire. So to me, I feel like that's just a cop out. Now, to me, if it was Joy's World, what I would do, I would have a section for basically
Whatever
depending
crime
on
you commit,
your crime.
there you
This
go.
is how you were tortured until your death.
Yeah.
Because I need you to understand that you're not gonna get your 3 meals and we paying for you and you get to be on the internet.
Right.
Now you get
Right.
people to email you, you get commissary. No,
Mm-mm.
that's a lot. That's like
Get
a
pen
low
pals, all that
budget.
stuff.
And now you got people woke up in prison, they with cell phones.
Exactly.
They got cell
Yeah,
phones.
you on vacation.
They get tablets
We
and
see y'all on
everything in there. I'm like,
staycation.
what is this? I know people out in the street don't have tablets. What? Like,
Mm.
this is all messed up. So
Yeah.
to me, I think there should be like real hardcore.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah, to
Not
where
to
you
mention, I just want to
Yeah.
add in there, these people get to make lifetime stories now. You get
Yeah.
exactly.
so now you getting
Yeah.
compensated. Like, I'm trying to understand. You took a whole life and you get to make
Yeah.
a movie. I don't
Exactly.
understand that. You don't get a
Exactly.
movie. I don't want to see your movie. We saw it. I don't understand that, Damon. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't understand that every day. I was telling my husband, I said, you got people who commit crimes and now everything is the life of.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
like, how you get a movie? I didn't get a
Yeah, right.
walking good citizens, we don't get no movie, but criminals,
Yeah.
people who do the most, they get a movie.
They get
And
movies.
I'm like, that is a problem for me. But then I'm gonna go back to this death penalty thing, because death penalty in our country, you're on death row for a long
Years.
time.
Yeah, that's true.
You're on death row for 25 years.
Yeah, 25, 30 years. Yeah.
Before your number even come up. So
Mm.
you still living your best life while you on death row.
Yeah.
And you walking around, yeah, you on death row, but you might not even get the people that committed the crime, or that the family that you did the crime against may not even see you get the death penalty, because the death penalty in this country is forever. It's like you committed that crime. You got people that committed crimes 20 years ago that's still on
That's true.
death row.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
for me, it's like, again, this whole the reason why it keeps happening is because there's no severe consequence
That's true.
when these things are done.
Right.
And I have to agree. I believe that it was premeditated, only because if we had a discussion and we said we just gonna rough them up, okay, let's talk about rough them up. Rough them up mean we gonna hit them a couple of times. First of all, it took 5 of y'all to rough one little dude up. He wasn't even big. It took 5 of y'all. That's a bully. So you rough them up meant you could scare him a little bit. Again, you had one-on-one confrontation. Y'all was, y'all walked in. It's a whole lot of rough them up scenarios I can think of. But when I saw the guy come over and start beating him with the stick, come on now, hello. He was already down. He was already this man. Y'all had beat him. That was not rough him up. That was y'all planned to murder him, because there's no way that you thought that he could survive that beating. The way
no, I don't know about that, because I know people who have been beaten by police officers and they were severely beaten and they survived. I think they do that so often, you don't know who's going to survive and who's going to die, unfortunately.
And they were obviously, it's obvious that there was something mentally wrong with them because I believe it was premeditated, and you knew that this man couldn't help himself. You knew that if you killed him, you got these body cams, even though you didn't show everything, you showed enough for people to know that you did this. So they snapped out. They just snapped out.
Yeah, man. And the sad part about it, all over at X, they need Jesus.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm like, that's why when y'all was saying that, like, the definite, I'm like, I'm torn because I'm like, the spiritual part of me kicked in, where I'm like, forgiveness, right, and all that good stuff, right. So part of me is like, if this was me and my family, how would I want it to be, right? So I was torn between it, listening to y'all talk about that, because I think that is a good topic to have, right? Like, obviously, I wouldn't mind them obviously being, having to deal with the same crime that they committed. But then part of me always is just in the back of my mind, have been like, I made that decision though. It'll sit with me and it won't sit well with me over time. So it's like I'm torn between that. But I'm with y'all.
Just go back to the Old Testament. You'll be all right. Just go back to the Old Testament. You'll be just fine.
Hey, I'll forgive him, then I'll pull his switch.
Yeah, that's it.
Let me do it. Let me do it.
That's like if somebody break into my house, and that spiritual part of me, you would think, not to murder, but you break in on me. Yeah. And I see you before I get you, before you get me, you gone.
Well, yeah. They definitely. I pray about it after.
I'm not going to try to hit you with a lamp. I'm going to shoot your butt.
So I have a question. So in that situation, do we have the right then to defend ourselves? Now I want y'all to think about this.
Absolutely.
Do we have the right to defend ourselves when it comes to law enforcement? Because before you answer it, you are the law.
Yeah.
So now you get pulled over and you didn't do anything. You didn't commit a crime, and you getting ready to go down. Do you have a right to defend yourself? If this could be rewound, did he at some point have the right, knowing that he was innocent, he didn't do anything? George Floyd, and y'all can name all the rest of them. Do we have the right then to defend ourselves? Yeah. And if so, to what level do we have the right? So if I have if he had a gun in his car and he pulled that gun out, he could have got to that gun and he could have defended himself. Would he have been justified in doing so? Because see, here's the problem. Now we're talking about criminals that have blue suits on.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a right to defend ourselves?
Well,
say for instance, okay, that's a good scenario. That's a good
scenario.
But say for instance, he did have a gun, and he did have the opportunity to run, and he knew that he was innocent, and these people were coming after him, and he could have gotten to that gun while he was running and fired and hit one of those police officers. He would have been in the right because they came after him for no reason.
Yeah. And number one, when they pulled him over illegally. He didn't do anything wrong. So again, when I believe, this is my belief, when cops have training, and there are things that you should do, and there are things that you should not do. When you start purposely start doing things that you should not do, and none of your training say, none of the protocol say you should do it, you're now, even though you have the suit, the badge on, you're now operating outside of being a police officer. So again, I think he would have been right, but of course, it'd probably be up to argument. with the law, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't.
When you say defend yourself, Ladievee, at what point do you mean? If you just get pulled over and
no, when you actually feel like, okay, this janked out of his car, so you're driving, and you again, I have to go with Josh. When the police go, they have a protocol. You have to tell me. First of all, you have to read me. If I did something wrong, you have to pull me over. I've been pulled over. I've been pulled over in the last year. Legal police officers ask you, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" That's what they ask.
Or they tell you, "I'll pull you over for this reason."
They ask you,
"Oh,
do you know why I pulled you over?" That is the question. And then if you say no, then they explain to you why they pulled you over. Now, if you're pulling me over because of a traffic violation, I don't have to get out. Why do I have to get out of my car? If you're just pulling me over for a traffic violation and you ask me to get out of my car, I'm going to ask you, why do I need to get out of my car? If I ran red light, then the next line of questioning, have you been drinking? Is there something? Why did you go through that red light? There's some questions that should be asked. But for you to just tell a person to get out of their car, I have a right to ask you, well, officer, why do I have to? I saw a video where the officer literally pulled the woman over, and he said, he was telling her and her boyfriend to get out of the car, and she kept asking, why do we have to get out of our car? If you're pulling me over, you ask me for my license and my registration, and I give you my license and my registration. Why are you asking me to get out of my car?
See, to me, in that sense, I will always try to de-escalate the situation. One, because they have the gun and they have the baton, and I'm gonna try to do my best to de-escalate. So if they told me to get out the car, I'm gonna get out the car.
Right.
And again, I'll let them handcuff me, and then I'll call Reverend L. Sharpton up.
Well, that's
as soon as that happened, I'll go right on Facebook Live and say, I was illegally detained by this police department, and now I want to do a lawsuit or do something.
But what if you don't get that opportunity?
But if you don't
my question is, Dr. Bennett asked the question, what do you mean by defend yourself? You didn't do anything, and now you get pushed down to the ground, and you are being beaten.
Well, see, in that case, if I had a gun in the car, if I can get back to my gun, I'm shooting. I'm going down.
Well, they're going to turn around and shoot you because they're going to be like, you pulled the gun on them. So now we'll be on
TV. We'll be on TV, and
you'll have to be on TV.
We'll let the movie play out.
Even though as human, the first part of being a human is self-preservation. So everybody thinks of, okay, I have to defend myself. But the loophole of it is that if you was asked to get out your vehicle and they have to kind of like force you to get out your vehicle, now you're resisting arrest. So now they got at this point to lock you up because now they're saying you're resisting arrest. So I think as people in these type of communities and dealing with police officers who may not abide by the law like they supposed to, you have to think, okay, I need to do whatever I need to do and comply, even though I may not feel like I have to. You need to comply so that your goal should be, let me get home. Let me not do anything that can force them to feel like, oh, well, they was resisting arrest. Oh, I seen her reach for her wallet and I thought she was going to pull out a gun, because they'll come up with all types of stuff. We've seen people get shot for trying to reach for a wallet. So I think that you have to be wise enough to say, okay, let me do what this officer is saying to do. And then I defend myself by saying if I'm going to put a lawsuit against them and things of that sort. Because think about it, they have money. They pay out people
Oh yeah.
The police department pays out millions and millions of dollars. They have funds set up to pay out these lawsuits because they know that somewhere, some way, somebody's going to sue them for one of their officers not doing what they need to do
I think the
while on
problem is,
duty.
they got this thing called, I think, some type of immunity. They need to make it so in some cases they're not covered by it, because I think a lot of people, again, if you pull a person over and you're not in the right, that police officer may get sued, because now you know the dude. Matter of fact, you have a whole chain of command that but by the time you get to the precinct, probably knows what you did, or what they're trying to bring you for, and they probably know what's right or wrong. That individual should be responsible, because you're saying that we give you a gun, we give you authority that no one can really fight you back. So again, you need to be your just like we need to be on our P's and Q's. That police officer should be on a P's and Q's and should be held accountable to the full extent that if you do something illegal or wrong or outside your training, you should be get sued personally.
Okay, so I have one last question. If this had been, and this is just opinion, if this had been 5 white cops, do you think that they would have handled the situation the same?
They still be working.
Yep. But matter of fact, I think there was a Caucasian cop there, and guess what? They took about 2 weeks for them to pull the picture up to identify him.
Yeah.
So
again, I think every police officer, every EMT, every firefighter that was there on the scene, that watched that white kid was dying, was waiting there to provide aid, should be going to jail. No question about it.
Yeah.
Because they say this: if somebody committed a crime and I'm with them, even though I didn't commit a crime, I'm going to jail too.
Yeah. Guilty by association.
That should be said for everybody. If you're supposed to be there you take an oath to serve and protect, and you don't say anything, you should go to jail too. I think.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest thing that I saw on the news was, they said that the cops, because they were Black, first of all, they were fired immediately and they were charged immediately.
Absolutely.
And then I thought about it. I said, look how long it took them
to George Floyd.
Think about it.
Forever. So, so it's still, even though it's not a white Black, it still is, because they're gonna and then they labeled it as Black on Black crime, and
right.
So they can make that sort of pacify the
next time
people, the pacify all of the Black people, so that they don't get all these riots and everything else. They're like, oh look, we there was some crime, these cops they're already charges been pressed on them, they're already going to seek trial and everything else. But what I think they need to understand is that, well, everybody needs to understand, there is, even though they say, oh, we all created equal, it's equal. If you look at it, in the jail systems, there are Black and brown people get charged way more and have a lot more time tacked to their cases than it is for a Caucasian. So as much as they say it's equal, trust me, if you're Black, I don't care if you got a badge, I don't care if you're the chief, I don't care what's going on. They find you in the wrong, you are going to get time. They ain't going to think about it. They not going to try to figure nothing else out. They will lock you up. And I think as we have to understand that no matter where we are in life, when you go into that courtroom, they don't care what your title is. They see you as Black.
Right.
And there's a different price on your head than it would be for if you were white. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth.
Final words, Damon.
What
would you tell? And let me ask you this: what would you tell your youth today? What do they need to look for? What do we tell them?
Honestly, I've been trying to find the words to even be able to express that, even explain to them what they should do, because they have asked me, well, if we do all these things and they still are taking lives in this, then what are we supposed to do? And I honestly don't have an answer. I don't know. I don't know what I could tell them. I mean, I wish that I could give them a playbook on how they should go about it. But even if they do it, if a cop is having a bad day, he just might say to hell with it and go ahead and decide to, take a life. So honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have an answer. And that's sad that I don't have an answer.
Okay. Reverend J? What would
Well,
you tell
after hearing the backstory of why this may have occurred, it still goes back to the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and bloods, but principalities and powers. These men killed the guy over some ounce rage, which could have been prevented if they, lean more to their spiritual side. So, just pray and need Jesus and pray that people will spend more time, not acting out the base emotions, but think about what they're going to do.
Yeah. Dr. Bennett?
I would say I'm leaning kind of towards Damien, but the only thing you can tell them is give them some reasons why people do get pulled over, because there are some reasons why. If you're going too fast, if you're going through a red light, and if you're on your cell phone and so forth and so on. But what about when they're not doing anything wrong, like this young man? So the only thing you can do is just give them some reasons why, or the reasons why they would get pulled over, and that's all you can say. Because what are you going to? Then they come back and say, "Well, what about Tyree?" So the only thing, I say that to my son all the time. Don't watch your speed and make sure that you stay focused. You stay focused, because you can get pulled over for doing the wrong thing, but you can also get pulled over for doing nothing.
Right.
Only thing I probably could say is you have to learn that no matter who they are in authority. One thing I know with me, I've been in multiple different situations, and respect carries a long way. You have to learn in psychology is this method where when someone else is really, really upset, now if you approach them with the same energy, it's not going to end well.
Right.
But if you approach them with the totally opposite energy, it's only but so much. They can only go but so far, simply because they're not getting that same energy to be able to project even more and more rage. So you have to learn really how to deal with people in irate situations and in uncomfortable situations, and don't allow your fear or your unfortunately even your rights. Because a lot of times people are like, well, I have a right to know why you're doing that. No, I'm not getting out of my car unless you tell me exactly. Sometimes it's better just to say nothing and comply, so that you can get home. At the end of the day, your main focus at that time should be, let's get home. Now you can do your Facebook lives and everything else and call up whoever you need to call up afterwards, but first get home, because nobody gonna know nothing if you're laying in a you just dead and they prop you up to take you a picture and then tell your family come get your body. So you have to think about, make sure you get home. So that's what I want to tell you guys. No matter what the case is, no matter what police officer, focus on getting home.
That's right.
I want to say, I want to go back to, I think that there needs to be more accountability, and definitely things that are set up in place where they have additional coaching, training, psychological evals for all police officers. Just on a regular basis, just to make sure that, because that's they hold a really powerful position, and they can snap at any time. They're not above human. So I think that there needs to be things in place that are internal, that are making sure that they are okay. Hey, are you okay? You know, that they have to go through some trainings, you know, finding out what's going on with their personal life, you know, because maybe then when you ask those questions, they can talk about it. Because again, to be, for a young man to lose his life over an ex, that's a lot. So I think that there needs to be some things internal that are in place, just like any other job, you know, but especially law enforcement, because they hold a position, and to unlawfully utilize your power is really a lot. And now we have 5 men. Not only did they take the life of a young man, and his family took a loss, but think about their families. You know, we don't know who was married. You left them. Now you won't see your children grow up, all because we don't have things in place to talk to people that they can express how they feel, so that they can make better choices. So I'm going to say, you know, on that side, it's sad because now their families have lost some people as well. Well, you have been watching Breaking the Silence. You have a voice, and I am your host, Ladievee. And we've been talking about our justice system, who are our superheroes. And by all means, there are some great cops out there. There are still some good cops out there. And we do want to encourage everybody to continue to obey the law, you know, because it is right. But at the same time, those who are not representing the law, we pray that these upcoming years, they will do something about that. Talk to your children, make sure that they understand what's going on, and that they remain safe out there, you know, because like Joy said, if they ask you to pull over, just do it. Just do it. Sometimes it's okay. It's better to just comply than it is to, you know, fight back. But we pray for the Nichols family, and that God gives them peace, that justice is done. I know we said some serious things, death penalty and all of that, but we want justice to be done, not only to the 5 police officers, but all of the lives that have been taken. We want justice to always be done and always to be fair. And so we pray for that family of loss at this time. But we have to go. We thank you for all of our viewers and all of the comments. I thank every single comment that was made. All of our Caribbean viewers, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I thank Dr. Yvonne Bennett, Reverend Jay, Damon, Joy. Thank you for being on the show today. And we air every Thursday, our new time at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But until we meet again, we want you to always know that you have a voice. God bless.
Take care.
Thanks.